guys, welcome back to Slate Me. I'm your host Samantha here, and this show, we have a few different guests that I want to tell you about. So, we're just gonna go ahead and jump right in. So, here we go. All right, so I think we're gonna cut to a break. No, we're here. Okay, perfect. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Samantha. Hello, Samantha. I know you're there. I can sense you.
Hi. Do you wanna go ahead and tell us what you do?
What's the deal? We playing poker? I'm Burl Bear. What I do for a living is, well, that's a good question. I primarily write books now. Perhaps someday I'll write a book about you, Samantha, your brilliant career. But
Thank
mostly I
you.
do true crime these days. There's probably nothing criminal about you. You're probably a wonderful human being. But in the past few years, mostly I've been writing true crime cases. You know, the serial killers, crooked cops, deranged people who do nasty things. And it's a fascinating thing to do for a living. Can get depressing, but you certainly learn a lot of strange things about people. You haven't killed anybody, have you, Samantha? I mean, maybe in a
Um,
movie you have, but
I no, I don't think so. Hopefully not.
you know,
Hopefully
well,
not.
there are cases where people do it and don't remember, or they claim,
Well,
I don't remember what I did that night.
maybe.
I
I
was
don't
at a
know.
movie.
Awesome. So do you want to kind of tell us about the different cases that you've wrote about in the past?
Oh, yeah. The most recent book that came out this year is called Betrayal in Blue. Now, several years ago, back when steam was still rising from the surface of the planet and dinosaurs roamed the earth, in other words, before you were born, the NYPD, New York Police Department, had two or more very, very corrupt police officers. One named Michael Dowd, the other named Ken Urell. They were making about 13 grand a year as police officers and making 8 grand a week, providing protection for a Dominican drug cartel. They were they were drug dealers in a squad car, criminals with a badge, and they weren't worried about the cops because they were the cops. They weren't about to arrest themselves.
That's
Now
fair.
you'd figure that the other members of the NYPD would have gone, gee, we've got some crooked cops over there, and maybe we should arrest them. No, they did. They knew what they were doing, and they let them keep doing it because they didn't want a scandal. And if they
Wow.
did something about it, there'd be a scandal. And they'd had so many scandals, they just decided, hands off. Well, Ken Urell, who was one of these two dirty cops, kept a diary of everything he was doing. When they finally did get arrested, it was because they went out to Long Island, expanded their drug operation out there. And when the cops raided his house, they they found the diary, but they didn't know what it was, so they just tossed it. It would have been a confession. Well, years later, such as a couple of years ago, a documentary came out called The 7-5, which is a wonderful documentary. It's got some slightly misleading things in it, but overall, it's a fascinating story about these corrupt cops. There was renewed interest in the case. He sold movie rights to his story to Sony, smart move, but he kept the literary rights and said, maybe I should get someone to turn this into a book. Long story short, Florida fellow named Paul Guzzo, who writes for the Tampa newspaper, got hold of me, put me together with Ken, and we brought in one of my great writing partners, Frank Gerardo Jr. And the three of us, without ever meeting, cranked out a admittedly absolutely brilliant book called Betrayal in Blue, which is adapted from his memoirs and our own personal investigation. One of the real fascinating things about the book, even as a reader, let alone a writer, is that two internationally known criminals called us up on the phone to make sure we got the information about them accurate, which I thought was pretty amazing.
Whoa.
I would actually have the fellow Adam Diaz, who was head of the Dominican drug cartel,
Hmm.
call up Frank Gerardo. Hi, This is Adam Diaz. I know you're writing a book about what I was doing, and I'm retired here now, but let me make sure you got it right. And another fellow said, you better get it right because we know how to find you. And Pavle Stanimirovic, who you should have on your show sometime, who is probably America's gem heist mastermind, stole over $300 million in diamonds and precious gems, etc. He called in to add his 2 cents. In fact, that's my next project is a book on his life and career and that of his parents, who were probably the most brilliant and charming and sophisticated jewel heist people in the history of America who never spent a day in prison. They
Wow.
lived happily ever after. Uh, so and I haven't met his father, who he claims is an absolute genius, the greatest gentleman thief. I mean, you got to figure, imagine what it'd be like to find out when you're like, say, 12 or 13 years old, that your dad is a very respected, ethical, honest, much loved local businessman. And he's also head of the nonviolent Serbian mafia, stealing everything that's not nailed down in the diamond district and reselling it.
Wow.
That's kind of a shock. And then this house was crawling with Serbian gangsters. John Gotti's coming over for sandwiches. It was one of those.
Yeah.
So as much as the kid wanted to go off and become a tennis champ or be an actor, he wanted to please his dad. So he became a diamond thief and became probably the greatest one. The cops were really impressed with him. Guess he did over 300. Well, actually, I don't know. How old are you, Samantha? About early 20s, late teens, something like that?
I'm
When
14.
he
I'm
was 17
14.
years old. You're 14.
Yeah.
Well, you're very mature for your age,
Thank
unless they're
you.
having you play younger parts. I thought you would, they always make those actresses look younger than they are.
Yeah.
She's probably had a few facelifts. She's probably, Samantha here is really 45, pass it on. when he was 17 years old, he did his first gem heist.
Wow.
$20 million. $20 million.
Oh my.
He didn't get to keep it all, but he was a millionaire by the time he was 17. By the time he was 20, I think he had about $20 million. So they kept doing it. He didn't do it for the money because they had all the money they could possibly ever spend. They did it because they thought it was great fun.
Yeah.
And now here's the $20 million question. How did they know how to open the vaults? How did they know how to open the safes? Guess who taught them? Criminal mind or not. If you had a criminal immediately say, well, of course, the safe company taught them. That's right. Safe company. Why? Because you get your safe broken into, and the insurance company says, you need a new safe. You need the more expensive one. So everyone was in on it. The victims are on it. The safe companies in on it. The insurance companies, they weren't too happy about it, but they get to raise their rates.
Yeah.
See, so everyone, it's kind of a win-win, what they call a victimless crime. You want me to tell you how to do it? I mean, just in case you and your friends want to pull this stunt.
Of course.
Well, listen, this is very clever. Let's say you and your 2 cousins have jewelry stores. You have, let's say, you got $3 million worth of diamonds. They have 3. Your other cousin has 3. You put them all in your safe. So that's 9, right? And you can say, oh, my insurance company, I got $9 million in my safe. I need an insurance policy for $9 million. Then you take them and you put in your other cousin's safe. Your other cousin's safe. They all get policies for $9 million. Each of you only 3. Now I come rob you, and you turn in insurance claims. You turn in a claim for 9. She turns in a claim for 9. He turns in a claim for 9, and I keep the diamonds. Everybody wins.
That is so
You get 9 million.
clever. Oh my gosh.
Very clever. Yeah. So everybody wins.
Everyone gets $9 million. Everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how
so
they did
clever.
it. That's how it worked. Yeah. And the safe companies were telling you how to open the safes. So, yeah. But still, the police who weren't corrupt were trying to catch them. They never did catch the dad. He's still alive, and statute of limitations is up on everything. He's 80 years old, retired. Hey, the mom is gorgeous, by the way. She was gorgeous then. She's so gorgeous. Hi, Mom. If you're out there watching, you're so gorgeous, Bronca. Uh, and the son, he's the only one who went to prison.
Yeah.
But and he did 16 years in the
Wow.
worst prisons. Now he's clever too. Now you want to know about acting? This has to be a great acting challenge. This will be in the book. He figured out that if he goes to prison as a New York-born white kid, he's going to be high on the totem pole. But being as he was internationally educated, because 7 different languages, I mean, he wasn't a crook because poor and desperate. He became a crook because he was rich and desperate for his father's approval.
Hmm.
But he could impersonate any nationality, any culture.
Whoa.
So for 16 years, he played the part of a tough Puerto Rican gangster. He wasn't Puerto Rican, and he wasn't really a gangster. He was a gem heist guy. But for power, prestige, and to run the joint, to be the shot caller in prison, he was this tough Puerto Rican gangster. And you read what they say about him. Oh, yeah, he's a big Puerto Rican gangster. So the guy who was in prison with him sees him outside of prison, goes, he doesn't have a Puerto Rican accent anymore. He's not Puerto Rican. He raises kittens. He's a nice guy. He had to play that part, act that part for 16 years, 24/7.
Wow.
Now,
That's
if they give
insane.
Academy Awards for best performance behind bars, I guarantee he'd win it. So that's my current project that I'm writing with him, and I had a fun time. I went back and got to spend time with his very beautiful mother, uh, and interview her as well. The father I haven't talked to yet. He's back in the old country fishing. He's
Mhm.
80 years old. And every time I see about there being some, because well, you've heard of the Pink Panthers, the ones who are doing all these brilliant robberies over in Europe,
Yeah.
Japan, and all over the world. Well, a lot of people think that they began in Europe or in France or Serbia. No, they started in New York.
Of
They were the
course.
guys that worked in our guy's crew, the guy I'm working with. And when they, however, weren't American citizens, so when they were caught, they were deported. And so they
Mhm.
just took everything he taught them and started doing it over there. And the reason there aren't any Pink Panther robberies or heists, actually, because it's a different thing than a robbery. The reason there are no Pink Panther heists in America is because our guy Pavle, Punch Stadimirovic, isn't doing them. He retired. He's not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I'd rather make money in show business. I'd rather be an actor. I'd rather make movies
Yeah.
because they don't put you in jail for making movies.
They don't.
Uh,
Accurate.
well, they do sometimes.
Sometimes. Well, yep.
So
Maybe.
yeah, I mean,
Awesome.
they haven't put you in jail for any of your movies, have
Not
they?
not yet. Not yet.
No.
So how did
There's
you
always that possibility.
how did you get into
How did I what?
how did you get into writing and
I,
publishing your own books?
oh, well, I always was writing something. I was one of those precocious people who like to read and like to write. I started off in broadcasting, radio and television, writing commercials like, "Hey, mom, buy yours today." Uh, so I did write a lot of radio and television commercials. And then first, this is going to sound egomaniacal, but all of us in broadcasting or media have large egos that will either fit in a 27-inch screen or a larger. I done quite well in radio, being a very high-rated radio personality in Seattle, and Pacific Northwest. And then I decided, gee, I think I'll do TV. So I got into cable television. And I had a cable television interconnected that produced thousands of cable television commercials. And I said, gee, I think I'll write books now. So on my first book, I won the Edgar Allan Poe Award, which is the highest award you could win for the mystery writers of
Wow.
America. It's all been downhill from there. Because once you win it, they can't take it away from you. I mean, no one comes and takes away your Oscar, or your Emmy, and so they don't take away your Edgar Award either. So all my books now say Edgar Award winner across the
Wow.
top. And 1993, I won it. I haven't won it. They never win it again, but they can't take it from you. So that was a plus. And then I started to get into to film.
Yeah.
Uh, I wanted to get into doing movies with my buddy Bill McDonald, who did Rome for HBO and lots of others. We spent about 20 years between the two of us corralling all the rights to The Saint, the Simon Templar, the Robin Hood of Modern Crime, the Devil with Dames, the Headache of Cops and Crooks alike, and to do new Saint movies and Saint TV shows. And wound up finally getting to do stuff to the movie with Val Kilmer, which wasn't very much like the books, but I made some money off of that, which was nice. And it's a new Saint stuff in the works with my friend Ian Dickerson, which I'm not too directly involved with, but I got to write a couple Saint novels, and so that's fun too. And I got to do probably everyone's dream as an author, Samantha. I wrote a book where I'm the hero, because no one else was going to write a book where I was the hero. So I figured no one else is going to do it. I did it.
I
And it's
better do
probably
it.
my least best-selling book because no one cares about me being a hero. Book is called Headlock, and it's kind of confusing because I had two books come out at the same time with similar titles. One was a true crime book called Headshot, which has got two and a half psychopaths and lots of and two murders
Wow.
and a couple attempted murders. It's just a true story of, and actually, it's a very sad story. There's multi-generational incest. You can't tell who's doing who without charts and graphs, and in the same time that Headshot came out, from another publisher came this book Headlock, which is a private eye mystery where I'm the private eye, and I use a fake name, and everyone knows it's me. And it's one of my favorite books, one of my daughter's favorite books. So I could just convince people to buy it. Got really good reviews. So, but you know what? They probably tell you the same thing as an actress, even though you're 14 years old and you should be on a sitcom making lots of money, Samantha. The Don't you agree with me that you should be on a sitcom making a lot of money?
Well, maybe one day.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Shadow Stevens' daughter is on a sitcom and she's making good money. She's a nice person too. Uh, I don't remember where I was going with this, but it was something intelligent. They always tell you not to read your reviews. There are trolls. There are trolls out there. I'm sure they have them in the acting world, just like they have them in the literary world. People who've never read your book will give you bad reviews. I've never read a true crime book before, but I finally read this one, and it's a real piece of garbage. I've never seen one of Samantha Here's films before, but gee, for an old lady, she sure looks young. Whatever it is they say to undermine you, they get a sense of power out of that. So the editor, Michaela Hambleton at Kensington Publishing, did several books for them. She said, Burl, don't read your reviews, especially don't read the reviews on Amazon, because they will affect you. You will read all the rave reviews, but the one that'll stick in your head is the one that says, this guy ain't no good writer, don't know any good or English. That's the one that's going to stick with you,
Yeah.
and it'll affect you. It'll affect you. And she was absolutely correct. I allowed negative reviews of one of my books by somebody to influence how I wrote the next one, and that was the problem with the book, because I was trying. She says, remember, you write books for people who like your books. You don't write them for the people who don't.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing, if you're a big movie star such as yourself at 14, and they call you the grand old master of, have the Meryl Streep of the under 25 set. There's always going to be someone who's going to want to, put you down. You perform for people who like your performances. It's the same with being an author. We write for people who like our books. And Frank Gerardo Jr., who written a couple books with me now, and I really, really enjoy working with him. He's a journalist and great researcher, and considering we don't sit down and write in the same room, we kind of go back and forth. He described it in a very good way. That we did these public dog and pony shows where people ask questions, and they said, "What's it like working with a nutcase like Burl?" And he said, "Well, it's like we're a band." He says that he's the rhythm section. He's the bass and the drums, and he lays down the basic rhythm track. Then I come in and play lead guitar. It's got to put the little flourishes in there, and it works out great. We have a great relationship, and it works real well. We decided when we did this first full-length book together called A Taste for Murder, which was an hour special on ID, true story of this woman. I mean, I shouldn't make jokes about it. She murders her husband, which is, first of all, is not nice.
No.
We can all agree on that. Yeah, we agree on that. But the police don't suspect that he's murdered. They think he died of natural causes. So she's home free. But she's so eager to get the insurance money that she nags them. And they say, I can't get the insurance money without the death certificate. Where's the death certificate? And they say, we're awfully sorry, but we can't give you a death certificate if we can't tell why he died. And we did an autopsy and he's too healthy to be dead. So we don't know what to do. So she says, he was murdered. You should investigate the murder. And by God, they certainly did investigate the murder and arrested her. If she would have just kept her mouth shut, she would have got away with this horrible crime. But I'm glad she didn't. And she may have also murdered her own infant child for the insurance money.
Oh my.
That's really sick.
Yeah.
And we're talking, but she had a rough childhood.
Mm-hmm.
She was pregnant twice in high school by her grandfather.
Oh. Whoa.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah, they lived together by this point. Yeah. Family reunions were really weird in that family.
Mm-hmm.
But so she had a rough childhood. A lot of, I think you wind up getting emotional problems from that sort of thing. Not that I would know. I've never been a grandfather, nor have I been pregnant twice, so I can't really say. But that's kind of the basics of the. And I also wrote saint novels and pop culture stuff, and I even wrote a book about the character of the saint. Now that was before your time, but it's still around. The famous Simon Templar. So it's kind of get a kick out of the one project I'm working on with Punch. That's what they call him, Pavle Stanimirovic. Is they call him Punch because he could punch open a safe in 16 seconds.
Wow. Well, we're running out of time
16
now.
Seconds.
So thank you so much again for coming on the show. And I'm sorry to cut you short, but we're running out of time.
That's
so thank
all right.
You so
I've been
much.
cut short before. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll definitely keep in touch, and I'll promote your books. So thank you so much.
You can play me in a
Well, thank you, and I'll definitely talk to you soon.
Okay, have an answer.
Bye. Hey guys, welcome back to Slate Me. I'm your host Samantha here, and we're going to go ahead and jump right into our next guest.
Hi,
Hi.
Samantha. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really well. Thank you for having me on here. Sorry about the
Thank you.
technical difficulties, but I made it.
That's all right. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself for everyone?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Christina Ress, and I'm an actress. I'm from Chicago originally, but I also work in Los Angeles.
Awesome. Yeah. So how long have you been doing acting?
Um, well, the long answer is that I've been doing it since I was born, pretty much. I just came out of the womb performing. um, I used to write plays in that when I was a kid, and make my whole family watch and even charge tickets and everything. And then I went to college and I was studying English and philosophy. And my aunt called me one day, and she said, "Hey, the Dark Knight's doing some open casting calls. You want to go?" I was like, "All right, why not? I'm 20 years old, 21. I can't remember exactly." And I went, and they called me. And then another movie was filming in Chicago, so I went to that one. And it was this was all background work, mind you, but these are my first times on a professional, big budget set. So
Yeah.
I went, and it was amazing. It felt magical. And 10 years later, I still feel the same way when I'm on a film set, even a small or big.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
That's important. That's important. Awesome. Yeah. So what kind of projects have you worked on besides those?
Well, I've done a lot of independent film, drama. I mainly stick to drama. I love comedy. I had aspirations of running to New York when I was little and being on Saturday Night Live, but then I realized that wasn't funny. So, so, so then I stayed away from that. I mean, my idol was Chris Farley by far. It was like Chris Farley and Michelle Pfeiffer. I wanted to be both of them at once. Kind of difficult to achieve, but I do. So I was doing dramatic film for a while, a lot of independent, and recently I started doing some commercial work. I worked with a friend of mine to represent this new company called Oil Off, and we did a take on an infomercial, and it was a comedy, and it was completely out of anything that I'd done maybe since high school. I used to do those SNL skits in high school all the time with my friends, but I hadn't done anything like that in 10 years or something, 14 years. So he's like, no, you can do it. You can do it. The producer, my friend, it's two Dark Dude Productions that did it. And so I show up and I did it. And it was a lot of fun. And it was really, really kitschy and really over the top, which is not what I do. I do realistic stuff, but it was amazing. It was quite the adventure.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's what I've been working on lately. And then I'm set to film a new project in about a month, I think. They're in pre-production, but I'm not really allowed to talk about that one. So if you want to hear about my own personal project that I'm working on.
Yeah.
So I have an affinity for vampires ever since I was a little kid. And that derived from my father, who's obsessed with horror films, specifically vampire films, of course. And then my mother writes vampire poetry. So I was doomed to like vampires.
Oh yeah.
And I think I think a lot of people have an interest in it. That's why it's popular. So for a couple of years now, I've been working on writing the screenplay. I write also. I don't know if I mentioned that. So it started off as a short film. It was about 15, 20 pages long, something like that. And I showed it to all my friends that are producers. They're producers. I pitched it to people, and they said, "This is really great. Can you make it a feature?" So I'm like, "Okay, okay, sure thing, no problem. I'll make it."
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'll just write 100 more pages.
Yeah, pretty much. So I have a first draft. So it has come along nicely. Like I said, I've been working on it for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And I took elements from history, from New Orleans. I definitely aspire to make something as good as Anne Rice. Who does Interview the Vampire Chronicles and stuff like that. I mean, who knows if it'll be that good, but I want it to be in that vein, in that tone. I want it to be dramatic and dark and beautiful and terrifying all at the same time. So I took elements from history, from New Orleans and from Chicago, and I melded that into the fiction that has been in my head since I was a child.
Yeah.
And on my father's side, I'm Greek, so I'm half Greek. So I took a lot of Greek history and a lot of Greek elements that I'm throwing into the screenplay, and I'm hoping to be able to film it. And of course, I'm going to star in it. And my co-star, I'm looking for a cute blonde. If you know any cute blonde actresses, you know, they can be. They can. um, so we're hoping to get production going next fall, something like that.
Awesome.
And distribution after that. So it's really, really exciting.
Congratulations. Yeah.
That we're Thank you so much. It's been a long road, but an amazing road. I wouldn't trade any of it in the world.
Awesome. So you said you're originally from Chicago and you currently now live in LA, correct? How did you go about making that transition?
So okay, so I first I went into the movie The Express. That was the first thing I ever did before The Dark Knight. So I went and did that, and that was on Wrigley Field. And it was amazing. It was like the best experience of my entire life. It was at nighttime, and I'm a night person, vampire, you know. And then I started taking some classes in Chicago, and then about a year later, I just went. I had no money. I had like $400. I was sleeping on some girl's couch, and I mean, I probably should be, but I'm not afraid of anything. Nothing scares me.
Yeah.
So I just went, and it was amazing. And so since then, I would spend about half the year in Los Angeles and half the year in Chicago. And I, you know, my Chicago life was quiet. Well, I don't know if it was quiet. I have a Greek family. But anyways, I have the Chicago life with my family and my friends. And then I would go to Los Angeles and I'd be pursuing this and pursuing that, and you know, living kind of a crazy lifestyle, to be honest.
Yeah.
At some point. I lived in my car at one point. I don't recommend it. Don't do that. I lived in a hostel for about 6-7 months, something like that. And then I ended up working there. But I did make some great friends while I was in there. I met a lot of people from around the world. Yeah, like I said, I've slept on couches, I've slept on the floor. And then eventually there came a point where, you know, I was able to hustle and make the money I needed to make and still pursue my acting career and still go out and network. And I met some amazing people, and I met some very lost people. You know, you're gonna find that anywhere you go. I think a lot of it you will find in Los Angeles. But it's definitely a cool city. And I think at this point, I want to stay on the East Coast. I will be, you know, or East rather. Chicago's not the East Coast, even though some people think that. Anyway, I'll probably be working more in Chicago, Atlanta, New York, Tennessee, New Orleans, you know, Louisiana, and then also go to Los Angeles to work. So hopefully I can stay in Chicago, though. That's where my family is. That's where my roots are.
Yeah, well, congratulations. That's amazing. That's kind of, I think, every actor's dream is to be able to travel and still film, but also still go home and, you know, be with family.
Yeah, I think family is the most important thing. You know, you really have to cultivate those relationships and you know, not forget about your family, not forget about the people who really care about you, because at the end of the day, that is what is important.
Exactly. So, is your family supportive of what you do? And because my parents definitely are supportive and help me out a whole lot. So,
that's wonderful.
How has that experience been for you?
Well, you know, there's been some, what are you doing with your life? Why aren't you married? What's wrong with you? Why don't you have babies? Why aren't you, you know, I'm single.
Yeah.
Well, I have a boyfriend, but I'm not married. Anyway, I'm not married. I don't have babies. You know, so I'm doing everything completely unconventional. And at first it was very much, don't do that. We don't approve. We're not going to support this at all. You know, and I didn't tell them about the obstacles that I had to overcome. Not at the time anyway, because then their reaction would be like, just come home. Actually, I think I called my mom one time and I'm like, I don't have money to buy a cup of coffee, Mom. And she's like, just come home. And I'm like, Mom. And then I kind of stop. I'm like, you're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to say, it's okay. You'll figure it out. Give me $5 for a cup of coffee. Don't worry about it, you know? But now at this point, it's been, you know, I've made connections. I've networked a lot, and they see that I'm serious about it, and they see me perform. You know, because I think a lot of the problem is that people mistake wanting to be an actor with wanting to be famous. being famous was something that I never wanted. I really just, I
Yeah.
can, just sit in my room and perform to myself all day long. I don't really need it, but I also gotta pay my bills, and I'm the oldest of all the cousins in my family. So I really, especially as a woman, I really wanted to be an inspiration for all of them. They really, honestly, they're the ones that made me go forward. The young ones, my two little sisters, my cousin, the three of them really. All the other cousins are a lot younger, but the three of them really inspired me just to go forward and to be who I am and to go after what I wanted, and that's what I am doing and have done.
Well, for the last question of the interview, I asked this question to all of my guests that come on the show, and that is, what would be your best piece of advice for a young actor or actress coming into this business?
I would say, along with the theme of what I've been talking about, discover who you are. Keep your integrity, keep your virtue, keep your dignity. Don't do anything that you're uncomfortable with. And work really hard and be patient with yourself. Really, it's really just about knowing who you are. If you know who you are and you can trust your instincts, you can go right to the top. You can do anything that you want to do. So on top of being successful, then you also get to be a good person and you get to inspire other people.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
I really enjoyed your interview.
Thank you. Thank you. Likewise, and good luck on everything. I'll be watching your show for sure.
You too. Do you have any social media or anything that we can find you and keep up with your work?
Yeah, absolutely. Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook are all the same. At my name, at Rest Christina, RESSKRISTINA. And I think the Facebook is fb.com/Rest Christina. So I'm on all of that.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Samantha. You take care.
You too. Hey guys, welcome back to Slate Me. I'm your host Samantha here, and we're with a familiar face. Hi Anthony.
Hello.
Do you want to go ahead and reintroduce
Glad
yourself
to be
for everyone?
back. I'm Anthony Gutierrez. I'm a filmmaker, Steadicam operator.
Wow. So you want to go ahead
Nice
and
guy.
kind of tell us about that because you're about to take a Steadicam class.
am.
So do you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about
So I was. I had a reflection today that 1 year ago in October last year I ruptured my C5 C6 disc
that doesn't sound
in my
fun.
neck. Yeah, it was a horrible rupture. But 1 year later, I'm going to Atlanta, flying off to Atlanta next week to take it's a week-long Steadicam gold course, workshop. So in less than a year, I kind of feel like I've made some progress since my injury.
Congratulations.
And thank you. And in between the injury and now, I've made a couple of movies.
Yeah, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Let's start. What do you have up first online? Let's go with, I just came back from the Austin Revolution Film Festival, and The Pickle, I was nominated for Best Cinematography in the Short Film category.
Pickle.
And I won. So,
Wow, you want to go ahead and let's look at the trailer and we'll be right back.
Most small towns boast a legend or two.
The Pickle intro, shot A, take 1.
that I was a DP on that film with a friend director of mine, Kyle Klinicki, and Mary Crago. In addition to that short film, we also have another short film called The Root Cellar, which has also been doing really, really well in the film festival circuit. And as a matter of fact, we have a couple of festivals for that one coming up really soon. So let's take a look at that.
Yeah, we've got a trailer for The Root Cellar. Here we go.
I have a story.
What in the...
Excellent. So yeah, that again was the same writing team, Mary Crago and the director, Kyle Klinicki. Did those out in Shreveport, really good cast, and a lot of those people are a lot of fun to work with. But I'm really proud of those two short films and how well they're doing.
Congratulations.
Thank you. In addition to that, right after I get back from Steadicam workshop in Atlanta, I go to the Louisiana Film Prize Fest with another short film, but I shot this one on Super 16 millimeter Kodak film for first time female filmmaker, writer-director Suzanne Rotz, who happens to also be my girlfriend.
Wow.
So, I'm not sure if you have that trailer still from last year or not,
No.
but y'all saw that, what, last week she was here
Yes.
on the show?
Yes, she was.
So we're actually having our world premiere in Shreveport in 2 weekends. So I'm kind
Wow,
of excited about
congratulations.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you. We have Flushed, which is another first-time independent female filmmaker, writer-director Carlene Altum out of Fort Worth. And we did this short film a couple of years ago, but kind of stayed in limbo for a little while. And it's a really cute rom-com. I don't have a trailer cut up for that one yet, but it just received its first official selection and Austin premiere at the Austin Revolution Film Festival in 2018. So
congratulations.
Excited about that. Made with Love. How about that one?
All right.
And this comes from director Rosa Nichols, who I've worked with on several projects and is also a first-time independent female filmmaker.
Go ahead and watch the trailer for that one. Here we go.
I love my babies. They are so lovely. They love their mommy. And make
This is Jim Vino.
I like to kiss them and make them cookies, and they will love me forevermore. I love my babies. They are so lovely. They love their mommy and make me happy. I like to kiss them and make them cookies, and they will love me forevermore.
So that's, like I said, that's another short film which is just now getting into the film festival circuit from Rosa Nichols and writer John Pender. And it stars Morgana Shaw, who plays on Salem.
Wow.
And Ronnie Hummel, who's an icon here in the
Ronnie.
Dallas area. And it's got a really good cast and crew. And that was one of the few short films where I actually did the work of a DP and just sort of sat back and let two other camera operators shoot for me, and that was the Blaze Brothers.
Yes, I know them.
Yeah, and they did a phenomenal job shooting that for me and Rosa. So I'm really excited that hopefully soon that one gets a Dallas premiere.
Awesome, yeah.
I really love to see that one. And then
and then
we have Quantum Terror, which is in the last stages of post-production for Christopher Cooksey, the director and writer. And he's heavy into the visual effects part of this. And this one stars Kristen Cochelle, and it's really good. Paula Solinger, really great actress. I think we have that short trailer for that one too.
She thought she'd found something in one of her books that wound up with her research. She put them together, and then she told me she talked to someone from another dimension.
Jacob, all I'm gonna do is bring my sister.
Be very careful with Jacob Colt.
Where are we? I can't see a goddamn thing.
Oh, we're definitely still down the rabbit hole. For sure.
The observation collapses away. Attention to one thing.
We are one of many angles. This is the place where this angle faces. Do you understand?
So I guess when you're dealing with quantum physics and parallel universes, that one could be a pretty...
it gets a little out of hand real quickly.
Yeah, that one, I'm pretty eager to see that one.
Yeah.
That one's probably going to be the most far-fetched film I've shot yet. And then I have Singleton Boulevard, which won at the first National Black Film Festival. It won Best Picture.
Wow.
Went on to the African Film Festival with an official selection and 2 nominations. and we're getting ready for the second round of festivals.
Wow.
For the fall and spring. And then the last movie trailer I have for you today is one that was actually just dropped an hour ago, and it's a feature film from Gorilla Tree Film Company. Eric Gibson, Jonathan Kudebeck, and Garrett Krutoff are the producing teams on that. So here's that film.
You boys want to play a game, so that's what we're playing. I'm just here to make sure everything's on the up and up.
Hey! You friends of Johnny's?
Get in.
Hear ye, hear ye. I officially commence this year's Haunted Hot Girl Challenge.
Where's Johnny?
Now the game begins.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Devil's Acid.
So, what do I do with my bags?
The devil from the acid. He's here.
What the hell are you talking about?
I'm gonna be staying right here in this corner having the greatest psychedelic experience ever.
You all think this is Johnny's game, but it's not. This is my game.
You're the devil, it was your acid!
And that's a new feature film, and that,
Wow.
like I said, that trailer just dropped an hour ago, so I'm
That
pretty
looks
excited.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We shot that in Shreveport at an abandoned prison out in the middle of nowhere.
Wow.
And let's see, that stars Jessica Lynn Parsons, Drew Varick, Ashley Delaney, Amber Saxon, Kim and Misty Ormiston, who are the twins from the Hunger Games. They were awesome to work with. Finch Nyson, Betty June, Eric Gibson, and really good supporting crew
Yeah,
to get
that's
that film
amazing.
off the ground.
Yeah.
And that's all I have for today.
Wow, you are super busy, aren't you?
It's not bad for the last year.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
and then there's a couple of other things that I still have that aren't out yet.
Yeah.
Just waiting to be released.
So how do you manage to keep up with all of these projects?
Well, luckily I'm mostly just, the Steadicam operator or DP.
Yeah, so it's
Or-
kind of like you're in production and you just give it away and it's like post-production from there.
Yeah, well, except for the things I'm editing, then it's,
Then it's a little different, but when you're just DP, then it's kind of like you're part of the production part, and that's
right.
kind of it.
Yeah, and then for more than half of those go to other editors and producing teams to get
Yeah.
finished out. So mostly half of what I do is social networking.
Yeah.
Monitoring Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So as soon as something hits,
Yeah.
I'm doing my part and reposting, getting the word out.
Yeah, that's amazing. So how did you get into doing DP work here in Dallas?
In Dallas, well, I guess it was really a no-brainer since I was a kid. The first movie sets that I went on to as a kid was a Sean Connery film called Wrong is Right and a Jackie Chan film called The Big Brawl. And immediately knew that the director and the DP were to me, they seemed like the most important people on set, and it's just everybody listened to those guys, and they actually, molded what you end up seeing on the big screen. So being on set and seeing those guys take control of films and those big cast and crews that was the first imprint I had on film, of film. So I immediately wanted to take those roles.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I kind of hate to cut this short, but we're
Not
running
at
a little
all.
over. Well, I really really love what you're doing.
Thank you.
Honestly,
Thank you.
because that is very impressive to be able to do that amount of films in just a year.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even have the attention span to do that, to be honest. But thank you so much, Anthony, for coming on and sharing these amazing films with us. And I hope that we can sometime soon see some of them in their entirety.
Yes, in the theaters.
Yes, soon.
Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure to be on the show. It almost feels like you're my only fan out there.
I promise I'm not. But thank you so much.
No problem.
And I will see y'all in just a second with our musical segment. Here we go.
This Slate Me music segment is brought to you by the multi-Grammy Award-winning Blue Cat Studios, located in the King William District of San Antonio, and by Hohner Instruments, a music tradition since 1857, and by H. Jimenez Guitars, tradition with innovation.
Hey guys, welcome back to Slate Me. I'm your host Samantha here, and this is my musical guest. Hi.
Hi.
Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself for everyone?
I'm Elisha.
And that was your song we just listened to. You want to kind of tell us a little bit about that one?
Yeah, I started making music last year using GarageBand because I was like writing films and like my creative juices were flowing for the first time it felt like in my entire life. Whenever in reality, like that started whenever I was a child. I just put it away for a while, and it's coming back out.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome, yeah. So, and you made that music yourself, correct?
Yes.
Do you want to kind of tell us a little bit about the lyrics and what they mean?
I don't know which song y'all just played.
Awesome. Well, that's all right.
that one didn't have lyrics, honey.
No? Oh,
those are for like film, like music score stuff that I'm starting to produce. Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. So, you want to kind of tell us a little bit how you're promoting your music for filmmakers to listen to and to.
I'm currently taking a different avenue. I'm working with other producers, and I'm going through a transition right now, so I don't have a computer. However, whenever I get one, I'm going to work on promoting more and working with different producers on different genres. Yeah.
So you want to kind of tell us a little bit about your film career as well?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes, I wrote and directed my first film last year, Saren. It's a sci-fi romance, which I'm about to start writing the feature on. I'm currently working on the concept and breaking some stuff down for a new short film. Yeah, they're basically, they have a spiritual undertone. It is about people who are sent here from another planet, and then they leave again. They ascend back to this planet in the apocalypse. Yeah.
Wow. And you're writing another film currently, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Want to kind of tell us a little bit about the storyline of that?
It's going to be called Keepers of the Sun, and it's about children who are gifted, and they shun or reject and resist their gifts until like there's some combustion, and then they all meet because they have similar paths and gifts and are able to express them more fluently.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Alicia. We're kind of running a little over time on this show, but thank you so much for coming. And do you want to kind of tell us where we can find your work and yourself? Like
currently on SoundCloud, under only Alicia is the name of the playlist, but I'm working on more and working on getting on other places because I'm also a vocalist, and ultimately my goal is to collaborate all together. A film with songs that I've written and sing and produce, and I'm going to continue to produce music for music scores and just work on expanding.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And we're going to listen to one more song before we go. So I'm going to go ahead and just close the show out now. And I want to thank all of my guests for coming on the show today, including you, Alicia. So thank you so much, everyone. And I will see you guys next week at Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time. And so here we go. I hope you enjoy the last song, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.
My shadow's shedding skin, and I've been picking scabs again. I'm down digging through my own muscles looking for a clue. I've been crawling on my belly, clearing out what could have been. I've been wallowing in my own confused and insecure delusions for a piece to cross me over, or a word to guide me in. I want to feel the changes coming down. I want to know what I've been hiding in my shadow. Changes coming through my shadow. My shadow's shedding skin. I've been picking my scabs again. I've been crawling on my belly, clearing out what could have been. I've been wallowing in my own chaotic and insecure delusions. I want to feel the change consume me, feel the outside turning in. I want to feel the metamorphosis and cleansing I've endured in my shadow. Change is coming, now is my time. Listen to my muscle memory, contemplate what I've been clinging to. 46 and 2 ahead of me. Jerusalem.